It seems like ever since 2019, many of us have been saying, oh, the Browns, this could finally be the year. They could finally compete for a Super Bowl. And it seems like every single year, the Browns fall short of being able to live up to any somewhat high expectations. But it's 2023. And you're going into this season with a lot of things to be excited about. Deshaun Watson had a whole entire offseason with no nonsense, no distractions, being able to really get into the playbook, being able to develop good chemistry and timing with his teammates, and he's looked really good throughout the preseason. Your offensive line is amongst the best in the NFL. Hell, even your damn backup offensive tackles are even dominating. Your defense, you got a new defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. You brought in a lot of talent on the interior defensive line, including paying a lot of money to Dalvin Tomlinson in free agency to improve your run defense. And you got a really damn good secondary. If everything goes right for the Cleveland Browns, I don't think it's crazy to see this team being in the AFC Championship game. Honestly. But like I said earlier, it seems like we've been saying this about the Cleveland Browns every year since 2019. When the hell are the Browns going to be able to live up to the level of talent that they have on this damn roster? You know, like, I'm waiting. There are people that think that the Cleveland Browns, for the first time in forever, will finish above Pittsburgh in this division. Somebody has to come in last place, and a lot of people think it's going to be Pittsburgh. You know, the Browns might finally be good this year, and there might not be anything we can say about them to say otherwise. This roster, really, where do they have any significant holes outside of the interior of their defensive line? We don't know who's going to be that second guy lining up next to Dalvin Tomlinson. I mean, they did trade for another pass rusher from Minnesota. I can't think of his name right now, but it's going to come to me. Just give me some time. But Myles Garrett, some people may say that he's the best defensive player in the NFL. Now, I don't know how far I'm willing to go with that because I am a Steelers fan. And even if I wasn't, I probably still would take TJ Watt over Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett just brings a lot of athleticism. He brings, you know, a really elite pass rush presence. But TJ Watt just does everything well, even when it comes to him dropping back in coverage. Now, you did trade for Zadarius Smith. That was his name. He's a really good piece to add alongside of Myles Garrett because you've been looking for that second pass rusher to put outside of him for a while. And you are probably really confident that Zadarius Smith is going to be that guy. But is he going to be able to give you consistent, 10 sack production at least for the next 2-3 years? We don't know if he's even going to be a 10 sack guy this year. He could be a guy who could be a little bit on the decline. And that's why Minnesota was willing to part ways with him. Now, you can say, well, JT, like, it was some cap situations why they wanted to trade him. Bruh, in the NFL, three of the highest paid positions in this league are quarterback, offensive tackle, and pass rushers. Anytime you got a good pass rusher, you're not trying to trade them for just anything. Even if you got a productive pass rusher, you want to keep Zadarius Smith around if he's still an elite player. So the fact that Minnesota was willing to trade Zadarius Smith for what they got in return for him, it kind of is alarming to me. And when I look at Deshaun Watson, we expect for him to bounce back to the Houston version of Deshaun Watson. The Deshaun Watson that was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL before the bullshit happened. How do you know Deshaun Watson is still going to be that same player? What if he just isn't a good fit in Kevin Stefanski's system? We just can't ignore how bad he looked last year. You can say it's rust, and I will say that he was a little rusty, but what if that's just the new Deshaun Watson? What if Deshaun Watson will never be able to play up to the level that he ever did with the Houston Texans. Maybe he just was a good fit in Bill O'Brien's offense. You know, I don't think enough people are talking about that. It's easy to say Deshaun's going to bounce back, but what if he just isn't as good now as what he used to be before he got traded to Cleveland? And that's a major nightmare if you're a Browns fan. And the Cleveland Browns, they haven't done well anytime they've had anything remotely close to being considered high expectations. The year they went to the playoffs, what did they do after? They missed it. They got rid of Baker Mayfield and they traded for Deshaun Watson, which you kind of can feel was a little bit of a panic move. The Cleveland Browns, you know, like anytime you give this organization some expectations and a reason to be optimistic, they let you down. So is this finally the year that it's safe to believe in the Cleveland Browns? If you're somebody who puts a lot of money into over-under win totals, is it safe to put your money on the over of Cleveland? Is it safe to even put money on Cleveland being able to win this division? You can say that this team is too talented for them not to be able to live up to those expectations, but it seems like we've been saying that for the last couple of years. Outside of last season, we knew last season was going to be a little bit of a tough year with Deshaun Watson being suspended for, 11, 12 games? But this season, though, there are a lot of people that are really banking on Cleveland to be good this year, and I don't know if I'm one of those people. I don't think this is the year that I think it's safe to believe in the Browns. I really don't. I just think something wrong is going to happen with this team. I don't know what it is. Like I said, they got so much talent. It's hard to say this team is not going to be good or be able to be a Super Bowl contender when you judge their roster on paper. But I just got a weird feeling with this team. The same feeling that I had with the Denver Broncos last year. Remember, a lot of y'all don't give me my props for that. But Denver, there was just something missing with them last season. I don't know what it was. I also wasn't high on Nathaniel Hackett. Maybe I just don't think Kevin Stefanski is it. But I do like Kevin Stefanski. Even if the Browns missed the playoffs this year, I still feel like Kevin Stefanski should return. He's not a bad coach. He's not an ass coach. He's just in a tough division. Yeah, you got to win games, but I don't know. I just think that the Browns, with just how they've had expectations in the past and they haven't really been able to live up to them, I think this could be another season where the Cleveland Browns disappoint and they finish in the bottom of the AFC North.